and welcome to episode 109 of the Woolly Thistle podcast, coming to you from the gorgeous state of New Hampshire. Today is Friday, January 10th, 2020, and I'm your host, Corrine. The Woolly Thistle brings your favourite yarns from the UK and Europe and makes them easily accessible in North America. At thewoollythistle.com, you will find the best of British yarn, such as Blacker, Uist Wool, and Jamieson and Smith, to name a few. You will also find yarns from Scandinavia, including Ulcentrum, Plötulopi, Rauma, and Tuku Wool. At the Woolly Thistle, we encourage woolly wanderlust, and we share information about where the wool was grown and milled. We specialise in finding yarn made at the source, whether that be on wild Scottish islands or in the Devon countryside. We find it and share it with you. With excellent customer service and beautiful yarns to peruse, you will love shopping at thewoollythistle.com. That's 2 L's in woolly. The Woolly Thistle welcomes and seeks out customers, designers, authors, and yarn makers of all backgrounds, ethnicities, cultures, locations, ages, and orientations who possess a love of wool and craft. We value your work and your contribution to making the Woolly Thistle a safe community. You are welcome here. Let the Woolly Thistle do the international shipping, so you don't have to. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our first episode of 2020, and it's great to have you here. If you're a new or returning listener, thank you so much. You're very welcome to join us. The best way to keep in touch with me is through our newsletter, which you can sign up for at thewoollythistle.com. And Instagram is always a good way to see what we're up to as well, and that is at the Woolly Thistle. And we always have 2 L's in woolly here, so remember that. So yes, welcome to 2020. I hope you had a good holiday and maybe some time off of work and lots of knitting time. I certainly did my fair share of knitting over the holidays, which I feel really good about, and I hope you did too. Right now, as I'm recording this, it is snowing outside. The sky is full of snow and the white stuff is coming down. So we are in full-on winter here. January can seem quite bleak. And by the time we get to March, everybody's sort of a little bit crazy. But since becoming a knitter, I have learned to really, really, really love this time of year. I so enjoy getting home and it being dark outside so that we can get the fire on and eat soup and bread and be cozy by the fire, watching something really good on TV and of course knitting as well. So yeah, I've come to enjoy these quiet winter months where I used to really not like all the snow and everything before. I'm so sorry I missed getting the podcast out to you at the end of the year. And I also missed the shop update on YouTube over the holidays. I think it was just really busy and people were on vacation and whatnot, so it just didn't come together. But we are back now and we will do our best to stay on schedule. This episode of the podcast includes Off the Needles, On the Needles, Cal News, a Katie Greenbean update, and a Woolly Thistle update. So first up is Off the Needles. I had a very quick little knit of some red socks for my husband Jay. I knit them in Strict Yarn by Rauma, which is their DK weight, in bright red. I started knitting these a while ago during Red Sox season when we were watching the baseball. But I think they got lost in the bottom of my basket or something. So I finished them in time for Christmas and gifted them to him. So that was a good thing to get finished. And they were just a very basic vanilla type pattern, except they were ribbed all over. They were top down. And I used an Eye of Partridge pattern, which is knit one, purl one, alternating on rows. So you get that little crisscross effect on a turned heel. I used a US 4 bamboo needle from Hiya Sharps. It's one that I've had for ages, and I like it for my DK sock weight knitting. But I forget how many stitches were on it. I think it might have been 48. I think that's plenty on a DK weight yarn. But I could be lying too. So those are finished and off to him, and that's good. I'll be watching with interest to see how they wear. My lovely husband is pretty hard on everything. So if these socks last, then that would be a very good sign. Rauma Strict Yarn is a DK weight yarn. It is 100% Norwegian wool. And they are recommended for socks, but this will be a good test. I also finished my seaweed slipover, which you may have seen on my YouTube shop update in December. I love this thing and I'm really, really happy with it. This was a slipover, a sleeveless sweater designed by Wilma Malcolmson of Shetland, and it was in the Shetland Wool Week Annual 2019, knitted in Jameson Spindrift on US 3s, I believe. And it's a colorwork vest knitted in the round, steeked at the neck and the armholes, and then you knit your armbands and your neckband as well. And I love it. It's very comfortable. It fits, which is amazing. And I think it's everything I hoped it would be. I loved this design as soon as I saw it in the annual. And now I have my own. So I'm super excited about that. There will be more Spindrift sets in the shop soon for this seaweed slipover. So if you've been waiting, we should have the yarn in hopefully midweek after you hear this, if you're listening to this in real time. We should have it in the week of the 13th, probably nearer the middle or the end of the week. So keep an eye out for it. Be sure to click on the notify me button so that you receive an email as soon as that yarn goes in the shop, and then you'll be amongst the first to know. And if you want to see it on me, you can look at the last shop update, which was mid-December, I think. And I'm wearing it in there. It's the one where I'm holding up the Latvian mittens, if you see that. Okay, so that is what's off the needles. On the needles, well, I'm in a bit of a pickle, honestly. I've been really restless. I haven't figured out what it is I want to knit. I've started on some projects and then set them aside. Nothing really seems to be working for me. Also, I've noticed over the last couple of weeks that my hands are really tired. My fingers are fairly fatigued. And so I'm thinking, well, I just need to take a little break, give my hands a rest, and then pick up the knitting again. So yeah, I've been sort of knitting on this and knitting on that, but nothing is really, really, really capturing, my heart and soul, which is what tends to happen on projects that I really love, which is most of them. I did pick up some Rama Fennel yarn last night though, and started swatching with it. That's their fingering weight, and I was swatching it on a US 6 to see what that would look like. Yeah, I've been knitting with some Rama lately here and there, just testing it out on the fennel yarn, and I'm really, really loving how it knits up. So I'm thinking a sweater is in my future, probably a very vanilla type stockinette sweater, because those are the ones I wear the most for sure. And I like to have a little kind of cropped, wide, maybe even a dolman sleeve type sweater that you can throw on over a shirt and looks good with everything. Yeah, so I was swatching for that last night, and I think that I haven't found a pattern yet that I want to knit, and I might try creating my own based on what the swatch tells me is my gauge and whether I like the drape of it with those needles. So it was drying overnight last night, and I didn't get a chance to look at it this morning before talking to you. But I think that is definitely coming up in the future here. So that really is my knitting right now. It's nothing very exciting. In fact, the most exciting part of it, I think, is that I find myself in this state of flux and in between projects, and sort of looking at how that makes me feel psychologically. Because if you're anything like me, you know exactly what you're going to be knitting before you finish the previous knit, or you're knitting several things at once and they're all wonderful. And sometimes we do fall in between projects and we don't quite know what to do with ourselves. At least I'm assuming it's the same for you as it is me. This doesn't happen very often. And I remember when I started really getting into knitting, that I was actually having a little mini panic attack as I neared the end of a project, because I knew I didn't know what I wanted to knit next. And I was kind of freaking out because I had to know, because I didn't want to lose the momentum, I think, of this passion that was growing inside of me. So that was very unsettling, but also quite revealing in terms of how much I was enjoying my knitting. Fast forward a few years now, and I'm having that feeling of, oh, I don't know what's next, but I'm okay with it. My life is so surrounded by knitting and yarn now that I feel sort of cocooned by that, and that is all okay. And so I am going to let my fingers have the rest that they're letting me know they need. And I'm going to use that time to plan out, and maybe not even plan, but just look for what it is I want to knit, because I'm really not sure right now, except for what I was just talking about with that swatch. But that hasn't even declared itself in any definite, precise sense. I just have an idea of what I want to knit with that. So yes, I'm trying to let that space be and just explore that and not be too freaked out by it. So am I the only one that does this, or do you understand what I'm talking about? I would love to know I'm not alone. So let me know. Right, so let's move on. We do have our cal coming up. This is our mitten cal. I should be announcing the dates of that fairly soon. Not quite ready to do that yet, but we will be soon. We usually start it mid-February, and it usually runs for 6 weeks, so it'll be something like that. And this is where we knit colorwork mittens together. We work with a bunch of designers who are very generous and let us have discounts off their patterns, maybe even some pattern prizes and things like that. This will be our 5th annual mitten cal, so this is very, very special, and we're excited for it. And we hope that you will carve out some time to be knitting on your mittens with us. So stay tuned for more on that. I'm sure I'll be putting this out in a newsletter form and on Instagram, and of course in Ravelry. You'll have a hard time missing it, is what I'm saying. But please, please, please knit along with us. It's really fun. We have the best knitters join us, and we have a really lovely time together. And the prize fairy quite likely will be popping in and out of the Ravelry group thread too. I also want to bring you up to speed on Katie Greenbean, who will be visiting the US of A and is making a stop here at the Woolly Thistle, and will be hosting a pop-up shop. So that's coming together, and we will be announcing the date. So stay tuned for that. All the usual channels, as I just mentioned, we will let you know about that. And we will be opening the doors to the Woolly Thistle to welcome you in, to meet Katie, and to come enjoy some time with us. So we'll be letting you know about that very soon. I've been really enjoying hearing from you both through Instagram and through YouTube, that for many of you, 2020 will be a year of Fair Isle colorwork as well as steeking. Many of you are wanting to give that a try, and that's very, very exciting. And I really want to encourage you to do that. I want to enable you to explore your Fair Isle wishes. So that's really great. And I'm really appreciative of you letting me know that that's going to be a focus for you this year. I always assume that everybody knows everything that I'm talking about, and that might be unfair. Fair Isle colorwork is colorwork that is done 2 colors in 1 row at any time. It looks more complicated than it is. You're only ever knitting with 2 colors at once. There are methods where you knit with 3 or more colors, and there are methods where you don't strand the yarn that you're not using behind the knitting. There's various different colorwork methods like intarsia, or I'm forgetting the one, it sounds French. Now I can't remember, but there's lots. And I think you can do colorwork by slip stitches, though I've never done that. There's mosaic colorwork, which I've never done. There's a lot that I haven't done yet, but I am pretty deeply in love with Fair Isle colorwork. So that's 2 colors where you're stranding the non-used color behind the work and catching it or knitting with it when it's called for. So that always makes a lovely, warm, sort of double thickness fabric, which is why it's so good for mittens and hats and even socks and garments. It will keep you warm. And the kind of wool you want to use for Fair Isle, although you see it being used in all kinds of yarn, whether it's worsted spun and shiny superwash, you can see that today where people are using that for colorwork, and that's great. But for me, I prefer to use the woolen spun woolly yarn, which is made for colorwork. And so when you're knitting with it, it might look a little bit holey, but then when you block it, that yarn blooms and it fills in those spaces to create a fabric that is even and meant to go together. It's just beautiful. It's like magic. So there's that. You've got to be mindful of the yarn that you choose. And of course, the woolly thistle is a very good source of this kind of yarn that is wonderful for color work, amongst other things. And then for Fair Isle, you're always wanting to be aware of color yarn dominance. And that means that your contrast yarn wants to pop out from the background color. And so it matters which hand you're holding which yarn in. So you want to be thinking about that. And of course, that leads to different methods of how you hold the yarn as well. And it's whatever is comfortable for you. There is no right or wrong way. There is just what works for you. And of course, all these things can be found in tutorial form on YouTube. I don't have a favorite one to send you off to, but I think if you do some searches on YouTube, you will begin to see just how much information is out there. And if you're looking for, how to do Fair Isle color work, yarn dominance in Fair Isle color work, those kind of searches will bring you to where you need to be. And then, of course, people who are beginning their Fair Isle journey will often have too tight a gauge. And I had to work at this. I had to work at actually knitting much looser than is natural for me. And even making sure that when I'm pulling that non-working yarn across the back of the stitches, that I actually make it pretty loosey-goosey. It is much better to be too loose than too tight in Fair Isle color work. So bear that in mind. And of course, one of the drawbacks for some people in Fair Isle is that you will have a bajillion ends to weave in. But there are also methods for catching your ends and knitting them in so that you never have to weave them in. I actually like weaving in ends at the end of a project. It's sort of the last night with the project. I've been tempted to not weave them in, just tie them in knots and leave them inside a scarf that you're never going to see. But I can't do that. I have to weave them in. That's my own craziness. But I like to do that. So, there's nothing wrong with enjoying weaving in ends, and there's nothing wrong with hating it. But if you don't like doing it, you will want to seek out a way to incorporate those ends as you knit so that you can just snip them off and be done at the end. And of course, there is the steek. And steek means bridge. And so there's the whole business of knitting a bridge across your working fabric to create an armhole or a neck hole or a whole front where you're going to cut it open for a cardigan. So there's that whole mystique. And then there's reinforcing that steek before you cut it open. And then there's the actual cutting of it, which is very scary for lots and lots of people. But I would hope that from listening to me and my my craziness, that it's a little less frightening. I would recommend you go and listen to, I believe it's episode 7 of this podcast, back when it was called New Hampshire Knits. I interviewed a lady called Deb, who is the woman that taught me how to do my steeks. And I loved the way she did it. She showed me how to reinforce it, which is a way I've never seen it reinforced since. And I still, if I'm going to reinforce something, I still do it that way because it's very secure. It's actually really enjoyable to do. And it's different from everyone else. So there's always that. So I think that's episode 7. And please go back and listen to that if you're interested in steeking particularly. Oh, and then there's always cutting your steek without reinforcing it first. And that is my specialty these days because I choose the right yarn for that. I have every confidence in the wool that I'm knitting with that I don't need to actually reinforce the steek, which saves a lot of time as well and makes you feel like a ninja. So yeah, I've been thinking a lot about colorwork and steeking, and that many of you are looking to start this journey in 2020. So I would love to hear more from you. Would you like me to talk more about these things, or you got this and you don't need me to go on about it? If you're already an experienced Farrell knitter or steeker, what would you say to add to the conversation? I would love to hear back from you, and you can leave comments. Let's see. I will put up on Instagram that this episode is posted, and I'll request for comments in there, I think, and we can have a discussion about it. That would be great. So now it's on to the Woolly Thistle update. And thank you so much. The Woolly Thistle is doing great. We ended 2019 on a really good, strong high. The year was great for the Woolly Thistle. We did grow and we served many of you. And I just want to really, again, as always, say thank you. Thank you so much for shopping with the Woolly Thistle. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for asking us to get certain yarns in so that we know what you want out there. And just thank you very much from all of us. You made 2019 a great success, and we are very excited about what 2020 holds for the Woolly Thistle. And we are nose to the grindstone, working really hard again for this year. We are excited about what waits for us. So let me tell you a little bit about what's in the shop. And we have new stuff that will be coming that I can't tell you about just yet because I want to make sure everything's solidified. But there is lots of plans in the work for new yarns to bring to the Woolly Thistle that do fit very well into the mission we have here. Let me remind you about the free shipping for orders of $99 or more, free US shipping. We used to have it be $120, so this is quite a savings. I said I would run it through the month of December to see how you liked it. I think you liked it. It was good. It was a good success. And I even got emails from some of you, which I really appreciated, letting me know that you'd much rather spend money on yarn than shipping. So yes, of course, let's do that. So do take advantage of the $99 free shipping. I can only offer that to the US, unfortunately, and I apologize for that if you're outside of the United States. So what else? Well, noteworthy books and magazines coming. First of all, By Hand Serial, which is one of my favorite magazines. Their issue 11 will be coming out late January, and we will have it here at the Woolly Thistle. I'm always excited for this magazine to come out, but I'm especially excited about this one because it features New Hampshire and Vermont, my home state and my neighbor state, the Twin States. It's very exciting. And she has featured some wonderful people and businesses in there, such as Harrisville Designs, Tammy from Wing and a Prayer Farm, lovely Ellen Mason of Eau de Cire. I think the Woolly Thistle might be getting a mention. They did come and visit us. I have no idea. I expect it'll be something quite small, but I'm still very honored that they took the time to visit us. I really enjoyed meeting Andrea, who is the founder of the magazine. I think she's doing something different and special, and it's really, really lovely to collect her magazines. And once they're out of stock, they tend to not reprint them. So it's one of these things that you want to get while it's available. We have on pre-order right now Weished from Kate Davies and Knitting Seasons and Bold Beginner Knits. 3 books by Kate Davies, her most recent books, and we'll have them coming over from Scotland very soon. We expect to have them mid-January, so we're taking pre-orders for them now. Also on pre-order right now is Gentle by Marie Wallen. We've had such a hard time keeping this one in the shop. It's a beautiful book. It is beautiful, but I also think it's particularly pretty. Very, very pretty. This book features 12 designs from Marie Wallen in her British Breeds yarn. She expanded her yarn from 12 colours to 16 now, and Gentle incorporates all of the colours. We have had to put this back on pre-order because we haven't been able to keep up with the demand for the book. So we are taking pre-orders for it, and we do expect the book to arrive mid January. We're going to be busy mid-January for sure, getting a lot of orders out. So thank you if you've placed your pre-order. We're also offering some kits from Gentle, particularly Primrose, which is the cover design, and the Mistletoe Totem, which is a very pretty hat. And I'm not sure, I might be doing some more out of that. I'm considering it, but we definitely have those two right now, and those are pre-orders as well. Some of the colors are out of stock, so we're not able to send them until we get the book and the colors, which is all coming around about the middle of January, and we will ship out those pre-orders right away as soon as they get in here. Also, talking about Marie Wallin, we have Meadow, which is her latest book featuring Jameson Spindrift. And we have kits from Meadow. We have Nigella, Thistle, Cornflower, and Mallow. And I was working on it. We're going to open up the whole book to kits. I think there's 7 designs in there. I'm going to make them all available as kits because you guys love knitting with Jameson Spindrift, and I can make those kits happen. So we should be getting the yarn in for all our Spindrift kits again in mid-January, so we'll be working very hard for that. And I have decided that I'm going to start stocking Jameson Spindrift in individual balls. So I do have some other colors outside of the kits coming, and I will start with intention building our collection of colors available in Spindrift. You've all been asking for it. I think I'm ready to do it, and I'm very excited about it. So if there are particular colors that you would like me to stock, then please let me know what they are, and I'll be sure to order them with our next order. So looking at the middle of January, we're going to be a little crazy here, getting out all the pre-orders, all the kits will be available again in Jameson Spindrift, but that's good. We want to be busy, so do keep an eye on that. One of the best ways to know whether an item is back in stock is to sign up for a quick email from us saying you were waiting for this, it's now in the shop. And you can do that by going to the product page, clicking on the Notify Me tab. It's a link. When you click on that, you put your email address in, and that puts you in the queue to be notified when that item becomes available again. It's a lovely little system we have here, and I think it works for everybody. So I hope that you will get what you want as soon as the Spindrift comes back in. Definitely do your ruminating now before it's in stock, so that when you get that notice, you know you want it. You're not swithering and dithering, because unfortunately, if you snooze, you got to know you want it and go for it, and hopefully then you will get it. It's high demand. All right, what else do we have? Brand new to the shop is a Legacy of Shetland lace. This has come to us direct from Shetland, and it is beautiful. It's very traditional Shetland lace, stoles and shawls, and it includes patterns and a little bit of history, and it's beautifully photographed. A lot of white and cream shawls on a black background, so you can really see the stitches. It's wonderful. Also from Shetland, just in our shop, but has been out for a while, is a Shetlanders Fair Isle graphic book. And this is actually a whole book of pencil drawings on graph paper making up these Fair Isle and Norwegian motifs. So that is a lovely resource if you are a Fair Isle aficionado. This is one you'd want to have for sure. We also have still a few copies of Selbu Mittens. This was originally Selbu Votter, a Norwegian book. This is such a lovely book. It's hardback. It was costing $70 to get in from Norway, but they have since rewritten it in English and have made it available in the US, and we can offer it for half the price, which is just phenomenal. So we have that in stock. Also, all the way from Shetland, we have Fair Isle Designs by Shetland Knitters, Volume 1 and 2. These have been very popular with you, and we are trying to keep them in stock. We offer Volume 1 and 2 separately, or you can get them together for a 10% discount, which I think is nice and you won't find anywhere else. Shetland Wool Week Annual we have back in stock now, so if you're interested in that, I would grab that. Of course, that has the seaweed slipover pattern in it, and it's just a lovely, lovely publication to have. We still have some Pom Pom Quarterly 31s in stock, which is great. That's their winter edition. We have a couple of Fano Strick left, and this is from Denmark. It's Crystal Seyfarth's beautiful work and quite like a coffee table book for sure. This Golden Fleece we just got back in, so we have plenty of stock for you, and you can buy that book individually. This, of course, is the book by Esther Rudder about her journeying from, the tip of Shetland all the way down to the Channel Islands, which are just off the coast of France. So she travels the length and breadth of Britain on a woolly journey. It's definitely my cup of tea, and I think it's yours too. And I've put together a couple of different options where you can buy the book on its own, or you can buy the book with its woolly companions, because throughout the book she does mention some yarns that we stock here at the Woolly Thistle. Those include Jameson and Smith heritage yarns in the black and white that she talks about, as well as some St. Kilda from Blacker, and also Uist wool. There's a couple of options there. So if you're interested in getting the full experience of her book, then maybe a woolly companion in yarn to the book is the way to go. These are all available in the shop now. We have just a couple of Strickmick knitting planners left, and I'm offering a 5% discount on those. You can get 5% off by using the discount code. I think try one of these. It's either 2020 plan or plan 2020. I don't remember which, but anyway, there's only a couple left. One of those discount codes will work. And if you're interested in getting that planner, I would do that right away. Maggie, who works here, got herself one of them and she's really enjoying it. So I think they are very nice. They're made for planning your knitting as well as other things in your life. Have you signed up for our newsletter? If you have, you will have seen our subscriber special, which this time was access to Jamieson & Smith's coveted color cards. We always try to give you something really special in our monthly newsletter. You can sign up at thewoollythistle.com. Remember, 2 L's in woolly. So yes, I mentioned Jameson Spindrift is coming. We should have that around about the middle or third week of January. We'll have all the kits put together, which include the following. From Marie Wallen's Shetland book, we'll have Yell, Bressa, Unst, the Baracow, the Skerries Mittens, the Scalloway Tam. And we'll have all of the patterns from her Meadow book. And we'll have the Seaweed Slipover from Wilma Malcolmson, which is Shetland Wool Week 2019. We'll also have Acanthium Mittens from Katie Greenbean. So all of those patterns are in Jameson Spindrift, and we will have the colours in, and we'll be selling those in kit form. We're also expanding our offerings of Jameson Spindrift to individual balls. So we've added more colours, and we'll be putting those in the shop as we get to it. So I do want to have your feedback on this. If this is, the sense I get right now is that you really do want us to stock Spindrift. So we're going to do that. There are over 200 colors in Spindrift. So it's a little bit crazy for me to just sort of throw a dart at the different colors. Do tell me if there are colors or things that you're wanting to knit, and then I can work to get the colors you would like. And we're going to spend some time building up our stock of Jameson Spindrift, but I hope that you are going to enjoy that. Jameson Spindrift and Jameson & Smith 2-ply jumper weight. They are very, very similar yarns. They're both Shetland wools. They're both 2-ply. They're both the same or very similar in weight, and they both come in 25-gram balls. They're both wool and spun. These yarns are quite interchangeable, and I have always knit with them interchangeably. So you might have, if you're knitting something feral, one of your colors might be Jameson's and one might be Jameson & Smith, and you're using them together. The beauty of them blooming is that they will work together when you wash it or block it, and those colors will just fill in and be very, very beautiful together. I'm sure experienced Fair Isle knitters will agree with me that they are interchangeable and that you can use them together. So the way I see it, having both of these in stock, is that I'm just creating this really huge palette for you over time once we get more of the colors in. I'm still going to sell kits of the Jameson Spindrift though, because I think that's a nice service for those of you who want to knit colorwork but who don't want to spend time trying to figure out which colors you need. It's always really, really nice to have someone do that for you, and you know you're getting everything you need in that kit. So we think that's still a good service, and we're going to continue that. Marie Wallen's British Breeds is now 16 different shades. She recently added 4 new colors, so we now have 16 shades to play with. And you can get patterns for her British Breeds in Wildwood and in Gentle. Both of those are books that are available here at the Woolly Thistle, and we have yarn sets to support the books. And of course, we have the individual balls so that you can decide what you're going to do yourself as well. And like I mentioned before, we should be getting all of our stock in from her over the next few weeks and have it here mid to late January. So I'm hoping for mid-January, and then we'll get your pre-orders out, but then we'll also have stock available to you. So again, just a reminder to click on that notify me button if there's something that we're out of that you would like. We recently had Jamieson & Smith 2-ply Baker's Dozens grab bags. I can't say that, that's a mouthful. We recently did the grab bags though that you love, and they were a huge hit again. It's so much fun to do these. If you missed out, I am super sorry about that. We will be having them again though, because they're ever popular and they are the perfect way to add to your stash and to build your own colorwork stash that you can go to and play with. Whenever somebody orders 2 of these grab bags, we make sure that they are different from each other so that you get 26 colors, each one different. And the Baker's Dozen part is you get 13 balls per bag for the price of 10, which is phenomenal. That is a good deal, and that's why they do so well. So we will be doing them again soon. We have to restock and get our stocks back up. The John Arbin textiles knit by numbers, we have all their colors except for just a few, and each color comes in a gradient of 6 shades. And recently we started selling these as gradient sets, which is really good. It's overwhelming to have so many colors that I think to have us put them together in nice gradient sets helps you figure out what you want to do with it. And there are lots of beautiful shawl patterns and gradients, sweaters and so on. So now when you buy your 6 gradient set, you're going to get a free copy of John Arbin's first annual book, which we have in the shop. You can buy it separately, but we're going to slip it in as a lovely free gift with your gradient set. So head on over to the shop and look at all the different gradient sets that you can have. There's even black through grey if you want to do something that is monochromatic. There's blues, purples, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, pinks, beiges, all browns. There's all the good stuff in there. And every gradient set will come with the free annual, which is a lovely book and introduces you to more of his yarn. We also have Devonia 4-ply here, which is from John Arbin too. It's super popular, and I think our stocks are in pretty good shape right now. I myself am champing at the bit to get their Exmoor sock yarn because this is going to be made available in March, and as soon as I can get it here, it will be here in all the colors that they offer. This is going to be a sock yarn. It does include nylon, and it's a reincarnation of their Exmoor sock yarn that they had before when I first started out as the Woolly Thistle back in 2016. And it's one of the first yarns we ever stocked here. And back then it did well. So I can only imagine how much more interest will have built for it now. I'm very excited about it. I will be keeping one of each for myself and knitting socks with it. So yes, be on the lookout for that. So we do have new yarn coming in the new year. I'm not ready to name names yet, but I know you'll be excited for what is coming. I will say that one of them that I'm hoping to get is an Aran yarn for knitting Aran sweaters. That is the cabled sweaters from Ireland. I know you're all watching The Crown, and the Queen does love a good Aran sweater. So we are going to have that in soon, I hope. So stay tuned for more information on that. And there's also some lovely wools coming that have a story that really is long overdue here at the Woolly Thistle. So I'm very excited to be getting those. So I'll keep that to myself for now, but just know the good stuff is coming. Armscott Manor. Wow, that yarn is so brilliant and special, and you guys really have been enjoying it. We sold out of all the 4-ply, it's gone, and we have to wait for a new clip. So I'm not sure when that'll be ready, but we don't have any more 4-ply here, unfortunately. This is the yarn that is the Portland sheep, very historical sheep that almost died out, and Armscott Manor is doing their bit to bring it back. It's a white fleece. This sheep is so old. This breed is so old that it was named in the Doomsday Book, which you have to go and Google if you don't know what that is. And so it's just got a wonderful storied history. They also have a small flock of Black Welsh Mountain, and that breed is one of my favorites because it's a lovely dark brown and is quite soft for being a rustic wool. So we do have some of the DK left. Last time I checked, there was maybe 3 skeins of the Portland and a few more skeins of the Black Welsh Mountain, and that's it. I'm hoping to get more of the DK into the shop though, so if you're interested, that's good. You can click on the notify me button on the product that you're waiting for that's sold out. We will hopefully be getting the grey as well, which is a blending of the Portland and the Black Welsh Mountain to make 2 lovely shades of grey. Other than that, I think we're in good order with our Rama. I think we've got lots of good variety and stock available in Rama, both in Finol Garn and Strick Garn. And we do keep a supply of Gamel Zeri as well, which I would like to try for socks. It's a tighter twist than the Finol Garn. It's a 4-ply and it's a tighter twist, so maybe a bit more hardy for socks. So I want to try that out. Tuku, I think, is in good supply as well. Do check out Blacker. We have St. Kilda, and we have Gotland, and we have Lioness in pretty good supply, as well as Tamar in a few different shades. I think I might need to get some more Gotland in, especially in some of the colours that have sold out. Ginny SR on Instagram, who is our friend Virginia, just released a new shawl pattern called Dion. It's knitted in Blacker Gotland, which we have here in stock, though I am really low on some colours, so we need to get more in. This is a beautiful, airy, drapey shawl that she has designed. Also, Ginny is a prolific sock designer, so do check her out on Ravelry, Ginny SR. You will see that she designs a lot of socks, and some of them are perfect for Tuku sock wool as well. So do check her out. She makes lovely, lovely patterns, and I do feel some sock mojo coming back, I have to admit. So yeah, I think Tuku is in good supply. Rama, Jameson and Smith will be back in good supply, though I think we have most of everything you would need available. Oh, I did want to mention a lovely new pattern by Savory Knitting, who is Amy Christophers. This is a really lovely design in Jameson and Smith 2-ply, and we'll have the colours in for that. We'll make up some lovely yarn sets for that, so keep that in mind. And what else? Yeah, we still have some yarn bowls, if that's of interest to you. Do check them out. We've got a couple of Nosta pins left as well. We have a few of the Sheepgees Merino Nylon 100 and how many is it? No, it's 80 balls of yarn, little tiny 10-gram mini balls. It's really, really a fun purchase. So if that interests you, get one of those. Oh, and also speaking of Jameson and Smith, I have ordered some of their lace white. I'm starting off real basic with colors 1, 27, and 54. So that's the cream, a light gray, and a middle gray in lace weight. Those will be in the shop by the time you hear this. And one last thing, Ulcentrum. We recently updated our Ulcentrum offerings. We have their light worsted weight yarn in there. One of the grays that we got is a heavier weight than the rest, and that's just the way it was milled up. They let us know, so we're letting you know. So I'll put all the details about that in the shop, but that will be available too. So I think that's everything that I have to share with you. Just thank you so much for all your support during 2019. And here's to a wonderful Knitterly 2020. Thanks for taking the time to join me and listening to me going on about my knitting or lack thereof right now, as well as the shop. I hope you have a lovely couple of weeks till we chat again, and I will see you on the YouTubes. Please go visit me there and watch the shop update over there. I hope you enjoy it. But until we speak again, all that's left to say is, if you go out, take your knitting. Bye-bye. That's the end of another episode, but it doesn't have to be over. Thank you for listening to the Woolly Thistle podcast, brought to you by the Woolly Thistle online shop. You can find items discussed in this episode at thewoollythistle.com. That's 2 L's in woolly. You can find our Ravelry group by searching for The Woolly Thistle. Find our podcast on iTunes or at thewoollythistle.com. You can speak to Corinne at hello@thewoollythistle.com. Follow The Woolly Thistle on Instagram at The Woolly Thistle, and join our newsletter for subscriber specials and all the news right on thewoollythistle.com.